Hello pageant world! Hello YouTube! My name is Jazz and this is my channel Pageants with Jazz. This will be probably my first video that I put up after my introduction video. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about who I am. So if you're not familiar with me or have not seen that video, go ahead and watch that one. You can also watch it after you watch this one. It doesn't really help you with context. I will tell you a couple things about myself off the bat though, that I am a former model and a current professional photographer, and that is where my perspective on what I'm about to talk to is coming from. So, I have been following pageants for over 30 years now. I'm a huge pageant fan and advocate for a lot of the, well, pretty much all of the things that all of our beautiful Miss Universe contestants advocate for. I do watch the other big pageants as well, but Miss Universe has always been my favorite and the one that I probably know the most about and follow the closest. So I want to talk to you about an issue that I've noticed in the Miss Universe universe, I guess, this year. I kind of noticed it last year, but I didn't really deep dive into it. I just was happily watching away like usual. And I created this channel to talk about things that I really care about in the pageant world, but I've just been afraid to make my first video because honestly, fan culture can be kind of scary sometimes. I watch all of the live pageants, like the ones that air on YouTube where you can see the live comments, and sometimes people are really scary, honestly. Like people are just mean. So I have been a little bit afraid to jump into my commentary, but this is an issue that I noticed and I did a deep dive yesterday actually, and it sort of lit that fire under me to actually start posting videos to this account because this is an issue I care about. I think that what I'm about to talk about is a very real issue, and if nobody else is talking about it, then I guess I have to start the conversation. So without further ado, today I want to talk to you guys about the inequality in the Miss Universe organization when it comes to photography and photographers specifically. I noticed when looking at the different Miss Universe delegates accounts on Instagram that most of them do tag their photographers on their headshots. Some don't. And that's fine because I know some photography contracts, I sometimes get asked to write into my contract that, you know, I won't be credited for my work, which is fine, it's part of the industry. But in this industry, we are about elevating and empowering women. So I think it matters to tag your photographer in something like Miss Universe because it is helping to bring eyes and views and potential business to that person if they are credited with the work. And it's funny how when you work with like the big name photographers, they always get tagged because it's like a bragging right to say, oh, I worked with so-and-so. But even though you would be benefiting those smaller name photographers by tagging them, they often don't do it. And the bigger thing that I would like to see change is the number of women photographers being hired in this industry. So like I said, I noticed that a lot of them, those who did tag what photographers they're working with, they were working with men photographers. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to discredit or bring down any of the men photographers that these women are working with. Obviously, they're very talented and they work very hard, I'm sure. But inequality is an issue in our world. We have so many women who get a Miss Universe crown, whether it's a local crown or the Miss Universe crown, and they advocate for workplace equality. They advocate for all sorts of other types of equality for women in the world. So it's interesting to me that we're advocating for equality for women, but there is not equality for women when it comes to how many women photographers versus men photographers are being hired to do big important photo shoots for these queens. So I did a deep dive into all of the headshots that are on the Miss Universe app this year, and I counted 85 of the queens. I think that's actually all of them. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but 85 queens have their headshots on the Miss Universe app presently. Of those 85, I went to every single one's Instagram account as well as their chapter of Miss Universe's Instagram account. So let's say it was Miss Canada. I went to Miss Canada herself's Instagram page, and if she didn't tag her photographer for her headshot, I went to the Miss Universe Canada Instagram page and saw if they tagged the photographer that took the photo for her headshot. So I did this for every single one of the 85. Of those 85 headshots, 67 credited the photographer that they worked with, meaning they either put the photographer's name or they tagged the photographer's Instagram. Of those 67 photographers that were credited for their work, only 6 of them are women. Only 6 out of 67 are women. Does that sound like equality to you? Because it didn't sound like equality to me. And that's nothing to do with experience, education, quality of work, even like publications. I know so many women photographers that I could name right now in multiple of the countries that have Miss Universe delegates who have photographed just as many celebrities as the men photographers who are being hired by these delegates, who have been on just as many big name magazine covers as the men who are being hired by these candidates. So it's not for lack of experience and it's not for lack of availability that these candidates and their respective chapters of the Miss Universe organization are choosing to hire a man photographer over a woman photographer. And I realize that I'm leaving out the non-binary and the other parts of gender identity in this, but Miss Universe is specifically about empowering women and fighting for women's equality. So I wanted to focus on the number of women. I also want to note that women photographers do have a different perspective and a different eye that we see the world through, and especially when photographing other women, that we see those other women through. As a former model, I had some downright creepy and predatory experiences with men photographers, and I'm absolutely not saying that any of the men photographers in the pageant industry now are like that, but in general, when I was photographed by men, it was often seen from a much more sexual, sultry sort of perspective. They wanted you to be very seductive. And when being photographed by women, I felt more myself and more like I was being seen as and captured as myself. And that's something that I try to do when photographing women, is really bringing out their inner essence and not creating an essence of sexuality, of sort of something that may not be what they're naturally giving when they're not behind that person's lens. And again, every photographer is different, whether man, woman, non-binary, or otherwise. So I'm not necessarily trying to put everybody under a specific blanket, but I'm just saying that there definitely is a difference between the masculine eye and the feminine eye, and it would be really nice if we could see a little bit more of the feminine eye in the industry and not just all masculine eye and a little bit of feminine eye, if that makes any sense. So sorry for the interruption. I'm actually re-recording this a little bit because I wanted to add that in just from my personal experience on both sides of the camera. 6 out of 67, that is 11.667%. We can, and I think we need to do better than that. Not just in Miss Universe, but as an industry as a whole. In the fashion, beauty, and editorial industry, women photographers are extremely talented. They're hustling so much harder to get so many fewer jobs. And I think that needs to change. So what I want to do before I wrap this video up is I want to recognize the 6 Miss Universe queens who did hire a woman photographer to do their headshot this year. And to be fair, I only looked into the headshots, but I think that is a hugely important photo shoot because it's the photo that you see them all by. You know, when they do an interview and the news station is saying, next up, we're going to speak to Miss Universe Denmark, and they show her headshot. And when you're looking at all the candidates on the Miss Universe app, when you're deciding who to vote for, it's their headshot that you're looking at. That is the introduction to the candidate. It is an incredibly important photo. And I think it was a good way for me to represent sort of the level of equality that we're seeing in the industry. And like I said, from my own personal experience as a fashion and editorial photographer in a major city, I would say it's about right. It's what we face in the industry. So with that said, I want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to these 6 Miss Universe queens and their respective local organizations. There also is a maybe 7th. I wasn't able to confirm that photographer. I wasn't able to find a photo or info about them on their website to see if they were man, woman, or non-binary. So not sure about that one. I will tell you who that is at the end. So to start, I'm going to go in alphabetical order of the countries in the order that they appeared on the app. Oh, and before I jump into the names, I looked up every name, I looked up the pronunciation, and I practiced before I started recording, but I may still get some of them wrong because my accent just keeps taking back over. So I'm gonna try my best to go by the pronunciation that I found of them, either them saying their own name or when they were announced as winner of their local pageant. So if I get it wrong, I apologize in advance. You can let me know in the comments below, but please be kind. I am trying. I'm gonna start with Miss Universe Denmark. Miss Universe Denmark is Nicoline Urenholt Hansen, and she hired the woman photographer Christina Anaya. Then we have Miss Universe Finland, Paula Jukanen, who hired photographer Laura Lekanen. Then we have Miss Universe Greece, Marielia, I can't remember if it's pronounced Mariella or Marielia, Zalumi. Her photographer was Stefania Petsa. We have Miss Universe Hungary, who is Tunde Blaga, and she hired the photographer Anna Vasoni. We have Miss Universe Mexico, Melissa Flores, who hired the photographer Guadalupe Jimenez. And then we have Miss Universe Portugal, Mariana Machete, who hired the photographer Jessica Costa. So thank you and congratulations, honestly, to those 6 women and their respective Miss Universe organization chapters for hiring and empowering and also crediting, giving that exposure and that credit to a woman photographer. That is huge. From the bottom of my heart, it means so much that you were the only 6 of all of these that I was able to confirm. To be fair, there are 85 total that had their headshots on the app, so it could be more than 6, but these were the only 6 that actually credited and put those women on the map and put their name out there by giving them that credit for those photographs through their social media. So huge thank you to those amazing women and their amazing organizations for empowering women photographers in an industry that is not doing that. For a surprise potential 7th, I was not able to find a photo or about information on this photographer's website. I really tried. I wasn't able to confirm if this photographer is a man, woman, or non-binary person. But Miss Vietnam, Bui Kyun Hua, I apologize again for if I'm saying that wrong. I probably am. I did try. I practiced. I promise. I tried. But she hired photographer An Trang Huang. An Trang Huang Vu. I am not sure if that photographer is man, woman, or non-binary person. So if you are sure, please let me know in the comments, and I can always do an update to include them if necessary. So yeah, if you know of any others that might have been in between 67 and 85 that hadn't credited them on their social media, but that did work with a woman photographer, please let me know in the comments. I can always do an update and include more women photographers. I also am not going to link to the photographers' Instagrams because, like I said, some of them just had the names typed out. They weren't all necessarily linked to an Instagram or to a website or something, so I don't want to accidentally put the wrong photographer up and credit the wrong person for the work that these photographers that I just named did for these 6 women. Yeah, so I'm gonna leave it there. I will have more commentary coming for, my opinions on this year's candidates and whatnot. If you want to know where my opinions are coming from, my experience and my history, and where I'm formulating even my biases, because let's be honest, we're all from a country, in my case 2 countries, so we're all biased towards wanting a certain queen to win. So I'll share all of that in my introductory video. Please make sure to go back and watch that so you know a little bit about me. And yeah, please hit subscribe so you can hear more interesting and different takes on pageant commentary. I do plan to bring my industry experience to my commentary so that it sets me apart from others who may, be coming from a place of having competed in the past or, having been one of those people who are lucky enough to go to Miss Universe every year and film social media content and stuff. I'm coming from a different place of experience, so you'll see different perspectives from me. So I hope to see you in the next video. Hit like if you want to support women photographers and bringing more women into the Miss Universe industry, bringing that equality closer to 50% from the 11-12% where it is now, so that women have a fighting chance at getting recognized for their work in this industry. And getting hired, first of all, in this industry. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.